wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that each continent of our planet is unique, because every continent has something that others don't, be it climate, geography, flora, or fauna. Today, let's embark on a journey across an incredibly vibrant continent that combines two seemingly incongruous things: the most advanced civilization and the most beautiful nature. You guessed it, we're talking about North America. In this video, you will learn: why are tornadoes so prevalent in North America? Is the Yellowstone supervolcano really that scary? How did it happen that for a long time, the same animals have inhabited Eurasia and North America? And how did a huge part of North America come to be occupied by Europe? North America. Please support this video by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. This way, you'll let the YouTube algorithm know your preference for interesting and educational content. As a result, these kind of videos will be recommended to you more often. Let's start with the very basics. Who named America? North America was named in honor of the Florentine navigator Amerigo Vespucci. However, the first Europeans to visit its shores, aside from the ancient Vikings, were led by Christopher Columbus. Doesn't this seem a bit unfair? Columbus did not realize he had discovered a new continent. He was searching for a route to India and believed he had found it. It was Vespucci who proved that this land was a previously unknown continent. Few people in the world know how many countries are currently located in North America. Most will name Canada, the USA, and Mexico. But in fact, this continent includes as many as 23 countries. This doesn't even include the additional 24 dependent territories. And yet, there is not a single landlocked country in North America. Canada, the second largest country in the world, occupies most of North America. The largest island in the world, Greenland, forms the northernmost part of North America. This island deserves some special attention. Keep watching the video to learn something unexpected. In terms of its rugged coastline, North America can only compete with giant Eurasia, which we discussed in more detail in one of our previous videos. Islands account for as much as 22% of the continent's total area. Although the continent appears large on a globe, seemingly occupying a significant portion of the planet, it actually comprises just a little more than 16% of the Earth's landmass and less than 5% of the globe's total area. Even though most people associate the word northern with cold, North America holds the record for the highest air temperature ever recorded. On July 10, 1913, the heat reached 56.7 degrees Celsius, 134 degrees Fahrenheit in the so-called Death Valley, namely in Furnace Creek, California. But the complex nature of the continent goes far beyond holding this record. Our planet's two largest tectonic plates converge here in the California region, forming the famous San Andreas Fault. This area is notorious for frequent and powerful earthquakes. Also, this is where the most destructive tornadoes in the world form, particularly affecting the southern United States. North America is home to the world's oldest mountain range, the Appalachians, which stretch parallel to the east coast of the continent from the U.S. state of Alabama to Canada. The continent is also the main source of information about geological periods. The Grand Canyon, for example, literally serves as a geological record. More dinosaur fossils have been discovered in the United States alone than in any other modern country. The region was once inhabited by the imperial mammoths, the largest of their kind. While most mammoth species were similar in size to elephants, the imperial mammoths stood 4 or even 5.5 meters, 13 to 16 feet tall at the withers, and weighed up to 15 metric tons. Archaeologists believe that the ancestors of modern humans first appeared in North America about 15,000 years ago. Interestingly, they migrated on foot. North America was once connected to Eurasia by an isthmus. However, about 11,000 years ago, this land bridge submerged under the water due to tectonic forces, forming the Bering Strait. In this strait, the North American shores are only 86 kilometers, 53 miles away from Russia. But here we are talking about the continent's edges. However, when it comes to the islands, it turns out that Russia and the United States are only 4 kilometers, 2.5 miles apart from each other. Between them lie Rachmaninoff Island, belonging to Russia, and Krusenstern Island, owned by the United States, separated by this short distance. This sounds like an interesting tidbit, but there is something even more unusual. In winter, these 4 kilometers of water freeze, and one can walk from the US to Russia in less than 15 minutes. So if you decide to travel this way from the Russian Rachmaninoff Island to the American Krusenstern Island, then upon arriving there 10 to 15 minutes later, you'll find out that you've traveled a day forward in time. As you move in the opposite direction, it's as if you've traveled a day back into the past. No space-time anomalies and wormholes have anything to do with it. The explanation is much simpler. It's because the international date line runs along this border. The time difference between the nearby islands is 21 hours in winter and 20 hours in summer. This effect is the result of the enormous size of neighboring continents. Now, let's delve deeper into what North America represents geologically. In terms of area, North America ranks as the 3rd largest among the world's 6 continents. Excluding nearby islands, the continent spans approximately 20.36 million square kilometers, 7.86 million square miles. Including islands, the total area encompasses 24.7 million square kilometers, 9.54 million square miles. The continent is bordered to the south by the Caribbean Sea, the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, to the west only by the Pacific Ocean, to the north by the Arctic Ocean, and to the east by the Atlantic Ocean. The continent stretches 7,326 kilometers, 4,552 miles from north to south, and its width from west to east is roughly 4,700 kilometers, 2,920 miles. Many people believe that North and South America are divided by the Panama Canal. Indeed, the construction of the Panama Canal at the beginning of the 20th century was one of the largest and most complex projects undertaken by mankind. The canal played a crucial role in developing shipping and economy in the Western Hemisphere and the world at large. Thanks to the Panama Canal, ships no longer need to go around South America, and the sea route from New York to San Francisco has been reduced from 22.5 thousand kilometers, 13,980 miles, to 9.5 thousand kilometers, 5,903 miles. However, the real divide between the two continents lies several hundred miles south. The true dividing line is at the juncture of Panama's southern border and the northern edge of Colombia in South America, in a mountainous region known as the Darien Gap. In the north, North America and Eurasia are separated by a natural water barrier, the Bering Strait, which we've mentioned early on in the video. The northernmost part of the mainland is Cape Murchison in Canada's Kitikmeot region. The westernmost point of the mainland is Cape Prince of Wales, located on the Seward Peninsula in Alaska. To the south, the continent's mainland extends to Cape Mariotto on the Azuero Peninsula. The easternmost part of the continent is Cape St. Charles on the Labrador Peninsula. The North American coastline is highly indented. The Boothia and Melville Peninsulas in the northern mainland are bounded by the Arctic Ocean. The huge Canadian Arctic archipelago, with a total area of 1.3 million square kilometers, 0.5 million square miles, lies in the central part of the American part of the Arctic Ocean. Its largest island is Baffin Island. With an area of 476,000 square kilometers, 183,800 square miles, it ranks as the fifth largest island in the world. There are also plenty of other sizable islands, such as Victoria, Ellesmere, Banks, Devon, and others. The Arctic Ocean projects far to the south from the mainland as a large but shallow Hudson Bay that separates the Labrador Peninsula to the east. The area of the bay is 1,230,000 square kilometers, 474,905 square miles, making it the second largest after the Bay of Bengal. To the northwest of the mainland lies the world's largest island, Greenland, with an area of 2.2 million square kilometers, 849,424 square miles. However, it relates to the mainland only geographically and not politically. Along with the surrounding smaller islands, Greenland forms an eponymous administrative autonomous unit, which is part of the Kingdom of Denmark. The area of the entire Danish jurisdiction is 2,166,086 square kilometers, 836,330 square miles. This means that a huge part of North America politically belongs to the European country of Denmark. Remarkably, Greenland is about 50 times larger than Denmark itself. The eastern shores of North America meet the Atlantic Ocean, where the coastline is deeply indented by large bays, such as the Gulf of St. Lawrence, Fundy, Chesapeake, and Delaware. The peninsulas of Nova Scotia, Cod, and Gaspé lie off the eastern coast of the mainland. North America also includes the islands of Newfoundland, Anticosta, Prince Edward, Cape Breton, Long Island, Bermuda, the Bahamas, and the Antilles. The Atlantic coast of the mainland is famous for the world's highest tides, observable along its entire length in narrow yet deep bays. In the Bay of Fundy, for instance, tides can reach up to 18 meters, 59 feet high. This contributes to the formation of steep, fjord-like banks in Newfoundland and the northeastern United States, known for their picturesque scenery. The lower sections of many rivers are flooded and have turned into estuaries, where the river mouth widens toward the sea. A huge part of the coastline has been smoothed out, mainly due to the formation of coastal bars. What kind of bars are we talking about? Of course, cocktails have nothing to do with it. Instead, we refer to a type of landform known as a shoal. This term describes a sandy underwater bank at a river's mouth, created by the accumulation of river and marine sediments. The coastal bar that separates the Pamlico and Albemarle Lagoon and estuary systems along the coast of North Carolina is considered the largest one. To the southeast, the Atlantic Ocean cuts into the landmass, forming the vast Gulf of Mexico, separated from the Atlantic by the Florida Peninsula and the islands of Central America. Along with the Caribbean Sea to the south, this bay forms part of the so-called American Mediterranean Sea. This might come as a surprise, but America also has its own Mediterranean Sea, just like Europe. The Gulf Coast has a low and even sandy shoreline, with numerous spits and lagoons. On the northwestern side of the continent, the Pacific Ocean forms a large marginal Bering Sea, washing the western shores of Alaska. In temperate latitudes, the Pacific coasts of North America are also deeply indented and form fjords. Now, since we've established that North America is special and far from boring, even when it comes to shape, let's move on to the relief and see what the continent's surface is like. The terrain of the continent is also complex. It lies on the North American and Caribbean lithospheric plates. Hills account for about a third of the continent. In the east, they border with the Appalachian Mountains, and in the west with the Cordillera. Hard sedimentary rocks in the north form the Canadian Shield, mostly occupied by the Laurentian upland. This area contains the Great and Central Plains. The largest and the highest mountain system here is the Cordillera Range. Here lies the highest point of the continent, Mount Denali, until recently known as McKinley. Its height is about 6,190 meters, 20,310 feet. Remarkably, the Cordilleras extend all the way to South America, which shows how huge this mountain range is. Active geological faults in the Cordillera ranges continue to cause earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. The largest volcanoes are Popocatépetl and Orizaba in Mexico. Presumably, the name of the first one means smoking hill in the Aztec language. Unlike the locals, the volcano is quite restless. It is surrounded by major Mexican cities. Just think for a moment, with a population of 20 million people, Mexico City is only 70 kilometers, 43.5 miles away from Popocatépetl. Volcano Orizaba is also active, but is far less dangerous. At 5,636 meters, 18,491 feet above sea level, it is also the highest peak in Mexico. However, these volcanoes pale in comparison to the great, legendary, magnificent, but at the same time terrifying Yellowstone. More than just a volcano, it is a supervolcano. Everyone has heard about it, at least thanks to Hollywood. It also has been the subject of one of our previous videos, and there was a good reason for this, because Yellowstone is often predicted to have an epic eruption in the foreseeable future. Of course, it wouldn't have wiped out humanity from the face of the earth, but it would certainly bring unprecedented challenges to humanity. The caldera, or the supervolcano's vent, measures 45 by 70 kilometers, 28 by 43 miles, covering an area of more than 3,000 square kilometers, nearly 1,500 square miles. If all this erupts, one can't begin to contemplate the potential scale of destruction. In addition, the Yellowstone volcano has a special location. It lies right in the center of the North American plate, unlike many other volcanoes that sit on tectonic plate boundaries. This fact alone sets it apart. While it is difficult to predict the date of Yellowstone's next eruption, reports from U.S. Geological Survey seismologists have frequently caused a stir in the media. However, there are compelling reasons to believe that any potential eruption will not be nearly as devastating as people tend to portray in the media and movies. Well, let's hope for the best, because hope is all we've got. Our journey continues through the mountains and plains. Of course, we can't ignore the Rocky Mountains. Located in the easternmost part of the Cordillera, farthest from the ocean, they rise sharply over the Great Plains. The mountain range stretches 3,200 kilometers, almost 2,000 miles north to south, from the northern border of the Canadian province of British Columbia to the state of New Mexico in the southwestern United States. Their width varies from 110 to 480 kilometers, from 68 to 300 miles. Among about 100 individual ranges, Mount Robson is the highest peak in the Canadian Rockies. Its height is 3,954 meters, 12,972 feet. The largest intermontane plains include Yukon, Fraser, Columbia, Great Basin, Colorado, Northern Plateau, and Central Plateau. In terms of area, the largest plateau is the Great Basin in Nevada. This territory, spanning up to 800 kilometers, 497 miles in width, presents a mix of mountains and plains, the latter being more prevalent. The average elevation of the plateau is around 1,500 meters, 4,921 feet. However, the elevation varies greatly across the region. Between the ridges lie deep depressions known as bolsons, closed and semi-closed basins with internal drainage systems. One such formation is Death Valley, which you have probably heard about 100 times. This is an intermontane depression in the Mojave Desert and Great Basin region of the western United States in California, southeast of the Sierra Nevada mountain range. The valley contains the lowest point in North America at 85 meters, 278 feet below sea level. Another unique corner of the world is the Colorado Plateau. In terms of its geological structure, the plateau is a hilly plain interspersed with individual plateau-like peaks and table-shaped mountains. Formed in the middle reaches of the Colorado River, the legendary Grand Canyon is the most striking attraction in North America. Its depth reaches 1,800 meters, 5,900 feet, spanning 8 to 25 kilometers, 5 to 16 miles wide at the plateau level, and up to 1 kilometer, 0.62 miles at the bottom. Its steep, oddly shaped slopes are the result of weathering and erosion. A narrow, winding channel is literally cut into the crystalline base. While the Grand Canyon was shaped by the Colorado River and wind, Mammoth Cave was formed by underground waters. This is the longest karst cave system in the world. It formed in a layer of limestone under the Flint Range in the western foothills of the Appalachians. The length of the explored part is 676 kilometers, 420 miles. In total, there are still 225 underground passages, about 20 large halls, and over 20 deep shafts. Even laypeople can easily grasp how the Grand Canyon and caves were formed, not to mention scientists. But how in the world can you explain this? This is Devil's Tower, another absolutely unique landmark of North America. It's a volcanic origin monolith rising 1,558 meters, 5,112 feet above sea level, and 386 meters, 1,267 feet above the river valley, with a relative height of 265 meters, 869 feet above the surrounding landscape. It is the first site to be designated a national monument in the United States. This special status was conferred by President Theodore Roosevelt on September 24, 1906. While such geomorphological phenomena are not unique, and there are plenty of similar formations in North America, it is the Devil's Tower that has become symbolic and inspired a lot of funny conspiracy theories. In fact, its shape and structure prompted particularly impressionable people to suggest that it was not a mountain range at all, but a stump. Yep, a stump of some gigantic ancient tree from some mystical quote-unquote Silicon era. However, on this amazing continent, there indeed exist giant trees that leave tourists in awe, which we'll discuss shortly. And now, let's explore the inland waters of North America. Due to the varied climate and topography, rivers and lakes are evenly distributed across North America. The sources of water for these reservoirs are very different, including snow, glacial, ground, and rain. The largest river is the Mississippi, which stretches 3,734 kilometers, 2,320 miles long. It divides the United States into two unequal parts, western and eastern. People living along its banks often face flooding risks, particularly where it meets the Ohio River. It also regularly floods due to melting snow in the Appalachian Mountains. Another powerful river is the Missouri. Its length is 3,767 kilometers, 2,341 miles. The Missouri is considered a tributary of the Mississippi and greatly affects the main river of the United States. It has over 95 of its own tributaries, which flow from west to east. The Yukon River flows in the continent's northwest, which is 3,185 kilometers, 1,979 miles long, and almost divides Alaska in half. We've covered the largest rivers, but what about waterfalls? The tallest waterfall in North America is James Bruce in British Columbia, Canada. Ranking 9th globally, it is 840 meters, 2,756 feet high. Few know that this waterfall is named after a Scottish traveler who became famous for getting to the sources of the Blue Nile. Yosemite Falls is also one of the highest on the mainland, located in California's Yosemite National Park in the Sierra Nevada mountains. The waterfall consists of 3 cascades with a total height of 739 meters, 2,425 feet. And of course, the most famous waterfall in the USA is Niagara Falls. At 55 meters, 180 feet, it's certainly not the tallest worldwide. However, its allure lies in its scale and power. Over 6,000 cubic meters, 225,000 cubic feet is the record for the highest total volume of water passing through the falls per second. In fact, Niagara Falls is a whole system of 3 large waterfalls: American Falls, Horseshoe Falls, and Bridal Veil Falls, with Horseshoe Falls being the most iconic. The situation with lakes in North America is particularly intriguing. The Great Lakes of North America are a unique natural system consisting of 5 large lakes connected by rivers and straits. Spanning across the territory of Canada and the USA, they are part of the Atlantic Ocean Basin, covering an area of 245,200 square kilometers, 94,672 square miles, and holding a volume of 22,671 cubic kilometers, 5,439 cubic miles of water. This water system includes 5 main freshwater lakes, namely Lake Superior, Huron, Michigan, Erie, and Ontario. The system also has a whole set of smaller lakes. Additionally, some of the most noteworthy lakes include Lake of the Woods in Minnesota, the Great Salt Lake in Utah, Iliamna in Alaska, Oahe on the Missouri River, and Okeechobee in Florida. Now, let's talk about climate. The diversity of a continent's climate depends on its position across different latitudes. In this regard, North America comes second only to Eurasia, spanning all climatic zones except the equatorial one. In addition to latitude, the topography of the continent is another significant climate-forming factor. Meridionally located large mountain systems facilitate the movement of cold Arctic air far to the south and tropical air masses to the north. Given North America's considerable width, the continental climate prevails in its internal parts. Of course, ocean currents also influence the climate. Cold ones, Labrador and California, lower the temperatures in the summer, and warm ones, the Gulf Stream and the North Pacific, elevate winter temperatures and increase precipitation. However, high mountains in the west impede air mass movement from the Pacific Ocean. The geography of North America is quite extensive and encompasses 6 climate zones. Let's explore what they are. The Arctic zone is found in parts of the Canadian archipelago and the northern coast. This zone is marked by consistently low temperatures, ranging from plus 5 degrees Celsius, 41 degrees Fahrenheit in summer, to minus 40 degrees Celsius, minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit in winter. The subarctic zone is south of the Arctic. The climate is close to the Arctic, but is milder due to the monsoon circulation. Summers are humid and cold. The temperate zone covers most of the continent. Due to the large width of this belt, different locations have their own climatic characteristics. This belt is traditionally divided into areas of marine, temperate continental, and continental climate. The marine type is characteristic of the western slopes of the Cordillera and the Pacific coast. The weather here is almost the same throughout the year: warm winters and cool summers. The west coast is dominated by a temperate continental climate, which is characterized by colder winters and mild summers. The central part of the temperate zone has a continental type of climate. Its main feature is significant temperature differences between summer, up to plus 24 degrees Celsius, 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and winter, up to minus 20 degrees Celsius, minus 4 degrees Fahrenheit. The subtropical zone is located in the southern part of North America. In this area, winters are humid and warm, while summers are hot. The tropical zone stretches between the Gulf of Mexico and the Pacific Ocean. High temperatures prevail here throughout the year. There are areas with desert and humid tropical climates. The subequatorial region lies close to the equator on the east coast and southern part of the mainland. This climate zone is characterized by hot and humid weather throughout the year. Having discussed the predictable weather in the temperate zones, let's now discuss some non-standard weather. Who hasn't heard of a tornado as a type of atmospheric phenomenon? Surely everyone. And it is North America that currently holds the record for the number of hurricanes and tornadoes on the planet. This prevalence is due to the continent's unique combination of relief and climatic conditions. Very special weather conditions are needed for a tornado to form. It requires a collision of cold and warm air streams. The greater the contrast, the better for the vortex, and the worse for people living in the affected areas. Warm latitudes with large plains create favorable conditions for tornado formation, as airflows accelerate without any obstacles. Surrounding mountains can further intensify this process. Tornadoes often begin during thunderstorms with heavy rainfall. Intense rain can obscure the formation of a tornado's funnel, making it an even more hazardous phenomenon because it appears quite unexpectedly. When warm and cold air currents collide, the warm air tends to rise, creating a large discharged area. This results in a pressure difference that draws external objects into the vortex, along with new flows of warm and cold air. The process loops and forms a funnel where air moves at tremendous speeds. It can reach speeds of up to 1,300 kilometers per hour, 807 miles per hour. To put this into perspective, the cruising speed of a Boeing 737 is about 800 kilometers per hour, or 500 miles per hour. Generally, tornado funnels move at about 60 kilometers per hour, 37 miles per hour, which is not very fast. However, there are instances when the speed significantly increases, destroying everything at an unprecedented rate. The form and scale of such disasters may also vary. Most commonly, vortices resemble a whip, and some can look like ragged, puffy clouds above the ground. The latter consists not of one, but of multiple vortices at the same time. There was once observed a hurricane consisting of 8 funnels at once. Moving away from these terrible phenomena, let's shift our focus to calmer and more pleasant topics: the flora and fauna of the region. North America's plant life is remarkably diverse. The heterogeneity of the flora is due to the continent's geographical location. As we already know, several natural and climatic zones are found here. All of the planet's major biomes are represented by the diverse plant life of the Americas, from the Arctic tundra in the north to deserts in the southwest, encompassing grasslands, wetlands, and various forest biomes in between. In the north, a little south of the Arctic Ocean, there is a tundra, followed by the taiga. Beyond this lies the prairie, with deserts, semi-deserts, forest steppes, and steppes. This distribution of flora aligns with the location of natural zones. The shores of the Arctic Ocean are characterized by permafrost. The tundra begins a little further south, marked by cold winds and frozen soil where nothing grows except mosses and lichens. Only a little further south in the Alaska region, you can find some sparse vegetation like short grass, shrubs, and dwarf trees. These are saxifrage, bearberry, cranberry, lingonberry, creeping heather, wild rosemary, birch, Arctic willow, and alder. Larch and spruce are found where the tundra turns into the forest tundra zone. Dense forests are found further south. This zone is known as the Boreal Forest. Don't worry if you're unfamiliar with the term. It's quite simple. Borealis is Latin for northern. The term boreal forests refers to forests beyond 60 degrees south or north latitude. They usually consist of coniferous trees such as larch, spruce, and pine. This kind of forest is also called taiga. A wide band of forests stretches from the Pacific to the Atlantic Ocean and covers about 4,000 kilometers, 2,485 miles. Some of its tree species are endemic of North America. That is, plants found only in this region. By the way, the mainland boasts a greater variety of coniferous trees than Eurasia. Who would have thought? Canada is especially notable for its tree diversity. It has 30% of the total boreal forests. The eastern part of North America, the Hudsonian taiga, is rich in rare coniferous species. Here, one can find some majestic endemic trees like American larch, Banks pine, white spruce, Sitka spruce, Douglas fir, western hemlock, cypress, giant arborvitae, pine fir, yellow pine, and sugar pines. It is worth noting that North America has a meridian division into zones. While northern zones show a parallel division, the south is divided along meridians. Coniferous forests gradually give way to mixed and broad-leafed forests, which occupy most of the continent. Species like white and black oaks, ash, tulip trees, various birches, maples, American beech, and the iconic sugar or Canadian maple grow in this area. Deciduous forests are rich in shrubs and grasses. In the continent's east, the so-called Appalachian forests, which were once famous for relict plants, have been partially preserved. Over time, much of the Appalachian forest was cut down. Nowadays, there are large numbers of different types of oaks, chestnut, beech, ash, linden, elm, and sycamore growing here. However, some rare plant species have been lost forever. Noteworthy deciduous trees native to America include the balsam poplar, aspen, and paper birch. In the West, forests gradually give way to prairies. The prairie climate is very dry, so trees generally don't grow here. The prairies are dominated by tall grasses, including cereals that can grow up to 150 centimeters, 59 inches high. The prairie climate is perfect for cacti and yucca. The savanna zone in eastern Mexico and Florida is characterized by scattered deciduous trees, including chestnut, walnut, and oak. The climate of the southern part is warm and humid, so palm trees, tree ferns, evergreen oaks, and cypresses grow here. The southern part of Florida is famous for its tropical forests with mangroves. Southern Mexico, with its tropical climate, is home to palm trees, rubber and olive trees, bamboo, mahogany, cedrea, logwood, avocado, cherimoya, sapote, guava, mamey, and mango. Orchids are a common flowering plant in this region. Various types of vines, flowering plants, herbs, and shrubs also grow in Mexico. Deserts and semi-deserts occupy the southern and western parts of the continent, including the areas of Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico, and West Texas. Subtropical deserts have a surprisingly rich flora, consisting of thorny branching shrubs and trees with modified leaves. There are blackthorn, agave, a huge number of the cactus family, and other succulents. There are about 700 species of cacti here. The smallest ones are 2 centimeters, 0.8 inches tall, while the giant specimens reach 20 meters, 65 feet in height. North America is home to some endemic flora not found on other continents. The most unique tree that grows on the mainland is the sequoia. The height of these trees reaches 110 meters, 360 feet, with trunk widths of about 5 meters, 65 feet, and can weigh up to 2,500 metric tons. Sequoias are long-lived, with lifespans of up to 2,000 years. Regrettably, human activities have led to the destruction of the most impressive specimens. Conservation efforts began almost at the last moment. allowing us to still admire these living giants, which have no equal in the world. However, it will take thousands of years for new giants to grow. Now, it's time to explore the fauna. The fauna of most of North America resembles that of Eurasia. This similarity can be explained by long-standing ties between Northeast Asia and Northwestern America. The Bering Strait was once a land bridge, so there were no problems with migration. Europe easily shared animal species with America. The fauna of Greenland and the Canadian Arctic archipelago, located in the Arctic desert zone, is naturally very scarce. The Arctic islands and tundra serve as habitats for musk oxen. American caribou reindeer are very common in the tundra and forest zones. Thanks to their long and dense fur, caribou can easily withstand cold weather. These animals winter in the taiga, but as soon as spring comes, they return to the tundra or forest. North America's coastlines and ice zones serve as the habitat for the polar bear. Polar wolves and foxes coexist with these animals. The North American fauna also includes voles, lemmings, and snowshoe hares, similar to those found in Eurasia. Partridges thrive and overwinter in the tundra, and migratory birds like the snowy owl, the Alaskan plantain, and various waterfowl species have also established themselves in this region. The coastal waters are inhabited by the polar bowhead whale, which prefers the water's surface layer. It shares these waters with beluga whales, narwhals, and many species of seals and walruses. The largest representative of the taiga zone is the forest bison. Moose are also found here. Previously, herds of elk deer, large animals with thick manes, were common in the area. Today, wapiti and bison live exclusively in protected regions. The forest zone is a convenient habitat for numerous smaller predators such as otters, skunks, martens, minks, and weasels. North American large predators include brown and American black bears, wolverines, lynxes, and wolves. In most areas, the Canadian beaver and muskrat were nearly hunted to extinction. But legal hunting restrictions have enabled these valuable fur-bearing animals to spread again. Small rodents include species like red squirrels, chipmunks, and mice. As you recall, in the eastern regions of North America, there is a zone of mixed and deciduous forests. The diversity of animal species here resembles the taiga fauna. The region is mostly inhabited by deer, brown bears, porcupines, and skunks. A possum, the only marsupial on the mainland, is also found here. Skunks are easily recognized by their wide white stripes that run from their heads to their bushy tails. When attacked, the skunk does not run away or try to hide. It has another defensive reaction: to release a liquid with a strong and extremely unpleasant odor produced by the animal's glands near the tail. There are ungulates, predators, rodents, insectivores, and bats in broadleaf forests. They are predominantly found in those areas where human activity hasn't significantly altered the natural conditions. These untouched forests are home to moose, red deer, sika deer, roe deer, fallow deer, and wild boars. There are also many large and small predators such as foxes, wolves, weasels, stoats, and ermines. Common rodents in this zone include squirrels, muskrats, beavers, and koi puss. Deciduous forests are populated by such birds as Virginia owls, fork-tailed kites, wild turkeys, and many other species. The most common birds are finches, larks, starlings, swallows, tits, flycatchers, jackdaws, woodpeckers, magpies, and rooks. Typical wetland birds of the area include geese, seagulls, ducks, cranes, herons, and sandpipers. In the zones of mixed and evergreen tropical forests, there are habitats of the Mississippi alligator and the alligator snapping turtle. A unique species of this zone is the American bullfrog. This amphibian can grow up to 15 centimeters, approximately 6 inches, with some specimens reaching 20 centimeters, about 8 inches. During spring, these animals limit their activity, and in winter, they enter a state of anabiosis. Rodents, lizards, and snakes hibernate during winter. Large mammals migrate, choosing areas with a milder climate for wintering. Birds migrate to different regions for the season. In the North American steppe zone, one can commonly find prairie dogs, which resemble small marmots. The ungulates aren't very diverse here. The bison population was almost eliminated in the past, but recent efforts have aimed to at least partially restore it. The pronghorn, another member of the even-toed ungulates family, was also on the brink of extinction. Ecologically speaking, this animal occupies the same niche as the antelopes, which are absent in the New World. Fortunately, due to concerted efforts by the government and conservationists, the pronghorn population seems to be recovering. This is encouraging, as pronghorns are unique in their own way. They are excellent runners, capable of reaching speeds up to 70 kilometers per hour, 43 miles per hour. Pronghorns face predation primarily from prairie wolves and coyotes that inhabit these areas and hunt in packs. However, pronghorns are rarely attacked, as they are challenging to catch, and predators can get seriously injured. Coyotes primarily feed on prairie dogs, hares, badgers, and birds, and will also eat carrion. The deserts and semi-deserts of North America are inhabited by a great number of reptiles, rodents, and armadillos. Savannas are forming in places where forests have been cleared. However, the fauna of this zone remains sparse. The typical wildlife of North American savannas includes certain species of ungulates and cougars. Here, one can also encounter rodents, snakes, and lizards. Most North American savannas are located in Mexico and Lower California. This ecological zone is not as prevalent on this continent as in Australia or Africa. However, human activity is intensively contributing to its expansion. Of course, the word contributing is used in a negative sense here. Over the years, human activity has increased the area of savannas at the expense of forests. Overall, the nature of North America has significantly changed under human influence. Our activity has affected all components of the geographic landscape: the atmosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere. The initial perception of North America's abundant natural resources, established during the continent's colonization, has fostered a careless attitude toward them. Indeed, we tend to undervalue what we have in abundance. This has resulted in the depletion of arable lands, water pollution, extinction of unique animal species, and a reduction in areas covered by natural vegetation. The replacement of natural ecosystems with agricultural and urban areas has worsened the state of the atmosphere. Toxic smog forms in cities with many cars and industrial enterprises. It detrimentally affects the continent's flora and fauna and negatively impacts human health. The cultivation of land has practically led to the destruction of natural prairie ecosystems and significantly reduced forested areas. For example, only 4% of the tallgrass prairies remain untouched, and the ancient sequoia forests have been almost completely destroyed. Additionally, chemical runoff from intensively farmed lands has led to the pollution of water bodies and groundwater. Mining activities, especially those targeting large mineral deposits in the continent's northern regions, the tundra, forest tundra, and taiga, have caused considerable damage to natural complexes. The short, cold summers and long, frosty winters slowed down the development of vegetation and soil cover, meaning that it takes far longer for the natural complexes to get restored than in other areas. However, in contrast to Africa and South America, North America has placed a significant emphasis on nature conservation, particularly in the past few decades. The government has adopted laws protecting natural resources, and state programs are actively working towards rebuilding natural ecosystems, with strict monitoring of the status of individual environmental components. Efforts to address these issues extend across all levels, starting with education. A special course on environmental legislation is a mandatory subject in higher legal educational institutions. Although there is still a long way to go to fully solve all the problems, the trend inspires cautious optimism.